Like they're just trying to distract themselves here and there and everywhere. But once you start like seeing it for what it is, you realize it's not going to last. Either you can try to pile up the distractions so much that you stop thinking about it, which is what most people do, unconsciously. But then when you're on the other side, you could try it. You could say, I want to be happy like them. I want to be just like la 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 like they are. But it doesn't really work because you've seen it from the other side. And you know in the back of your mind there's some truth to kind of looking at it from a different angle. So then what happens is people are like, okay, so I'm questioning things that nobody else is questioning, or maybe I'm not supposed to question. Because it's questioning really the whole model of society. Everything from consumerism to this capitalist system, which is profit-based for everything, dog-eat-dog world. You can't win unless someone else loses. Questioning all of that. And then you start questioning like that, and you can't talk to other people because they never considered it. And they're like, and they might even listen to what you're saying and think, okay, what they're saying makes sense, but at some level it's threatening.
Yeah.
And so then they get this emotional reaction. They don't know why, they don't put words to it, but they think of you perhaps as being the source of their pain because you brought up something that they know is true. They were supposed to be thinking, or the back of their mind, they think, I should be thinking about that. Especially if it's, things that people are so caught up in, but they know that they're not really ideal. It's on so many different levels. It could be toxic relationships. It can be eating junk food every day. It could be all these things that people, they know somewhere in themselves is not good. It's causing cognitive dissonance because part of them knows, and then the other part just doesn't want to think about it. And so there's this friction. And if you talk to them or you bring up ideas which cause that friction to stand out in the back of their mind, then they associate you with pain. Until they start associating your words with freedom, which takes time, right? Like, it usually takes trauma. Like, they have to experience something that causes them to really fracture and question everything, and then they peer the light of awareness into that part of their social and emotional kind of mindset. And then they're like, yeah, that could have been a problem. And they admit it to themselves. At which point, then when they talk to you, they're like, yeah, it's kind of true. And then they don't see you as pain. They see the actual cause of the pain. They don't see you as the cause of the pain for bringing something up. So, yeah, it often makes it more difficult to maintain relationships with people who haven't yet broached that level of awareness. And this is very common. Like, very, very common. They even talk about it in the Bible, but they don't use the same words.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, like it's just like people. There's, and even I think the Buddha had words about it. It's like
Be persecuted for like.
Yeah, they had some colorful analogies about like the light, like people being afraid of the light. Like some of them run back to darkness, and others like. I can't remember what it was, but
That sounds familiar.
But yeah, it's this awkward intermediary stage where you're spiritualizing yourself in a more worldly world, and then this raises many existential questions. Like, okay, so I'm questioning everything. Where do I stop questioning? Because now I want some structure. Because I've questioned everything. I've questioned the framework of everything. But then what do I rebuild off of? How do you rebuild when you don't have ground to stand on? So then you have to redevelop this idea of the ground that you're living on, where to stand. And so a lot of times it comes to a question of purpose. Like, what am I here for? If I'm not here to just seek hedonistic pleasures, if I'm not just here to be a foodie and not question everything like a bobblehead, just la 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 la, like going through life and just whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever feels good, then what? But there are a lot of resources that are out there, and actually have this. So these, actually, I only printed 3, but maybe you guys can look at it. And then These I was reading from Teal Swan is like a. Have you heard of
I
Teal Swan?
like her.
Yeah, she's very emotionally. She's really good at
Emotionally, right?
processing emotions in this world. For a while, I decided I want to be more emotionally aware because I was very mental. Like, just I wouldn't really think about emotions or on that level. But especially when dealing with women, not that all women, but especially when like trying to have relationships with women, it's helpful to be more emotionally aware. So then I basically I really got into Teal Swan. I listened to like all of her YouTubes, and there's
She's great.
hundreds.
Yeah.
I downloaded all of them, and yeah, a lot of it made me more self-aware about my emotional state. But I don't listen to it too much anymore. But this is one thing that she sent out an email like a year or two ago, and she was like suggesting that we ask ourselves questions to help like ground ourselves in our purpose. And I thought these are some useful contemplations. Because a lot of people are trying to figure out what they should be doing with themselves. So yeah, like these are some things that you can think about, and maybe you already thought about them. Maybe you already know some of the answers, but sometimes people are not sure, really haven't asked themselves, like what would happen if money was no concern? If there's no such thing as money, what would you do with yourself? If you could retire today, what would you do with yourself? Would you form a charity? When would you feel good?
Do you want me to say this? It's okay. Documentaries, like, like people going undercover and pretending that they're like, and then they like backstab for like a documentary. I was thinking about that. I was like, why is she like the target of these? And there's so many other people like spreading similar messages, but